Welcome to the Open Door Policy Podcast. In each episode, we speak with all types of joyful missionary disciples who are unleashing the gospel in different and exciting ways. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and share our podcast with your family and friends. This week, we sit down with a family member of Danielle's, Paul Center, to hear about how he is living his joyful missionary discipleship. Paul, welcome to Open Door Policy.
Thank you.
Thank you. What up, Pollywog?
Not a whole lot.
Surrounded by centers here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Danielle, how's your life been?
It's been really beautiful and good.
What's God doing?
Yeah, I through the grace of God, I went to a close friend of ours this past weekend. His name is Joe, and he's our other brother's best friend, but he basically grew up at our house. So it was really special to go to his wedding. Father Patrick Gagnon presided. I sat next to Father Patrick Gagnon. It was just really beautiful to
When did you
celebrate.
sit next to him?
What? Yeah.
At the reception?
At Mass? No, I'm just kidding. At the reception. What about you, Father?
Yeah, that's great. I not too long ago, I got to go to a conference, this great National Catholic Youth Conference back in November, and I was just thinking about what a grace it was. My sister came, and my niece and nephew were both there. It was for high school students, and just to see how the Lord was breaking into their lives and into my life and into the lives of everyone else there was really awesome.
You know
really
what was hot in November?
What?
Your Parish Day of Renewal.
PDR,
that was really
yeah.
great. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
too.
and our first episode of the season was the Parish Day of Renewal live episode, which was a ton of fun to do with you, Danielle.
Yeah, cool.
Speaking of fun, Paul, we're going to jump into rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure am.
Paul, what is your superpower?
Waking up early no matter what.
What do you remember about church as a kid?
I always liked the singing of the old Mystery of Faith.
What was the last live performance you saw?
Gregory Alan Isaacoff in February, perhaps?
Nice. What scent elicits an instant memory?
Olive soap.
Paulie, would you rather have 100 degrees and humid or negative 10?
The hot one.
What are you praying for these days?
Graces.
What was the first concert you went to?
Reliant K.
What is the most beautiful church you've ever visited?
The cathedral in Peterborough, Ontario.
What item of clothing would someone be surprised to find in your closet?
A sweater poncho.
Nice. What class could you teach?
Very basic music.
And special bonus rapid fire question that Danielle threw in there. Paul, how many dances do you know?
I know all the dances.
All the dances.
Jazz,
All right.
tap, hip hop, modern, ballet.
Good work. All right.
Etc.
Going back. So who's Gregory Eisenhoff?
Gregory Alan Isaacoff is a folk artist, indie folk. My wife Carmel is a big fan, so I bought her tickets to see him last Christmas, and we saw him in Grand Rapids in February or so.
What about olive soap? Like,
yes.
I don't think I've ever had it or used
honestly,
olive soap.
This is really interesting. Danielle and I and a few others were in Europe around 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And when we were in Rome, we were at an Airbnb. I don't think there was any soap, so we went to one of the little shops nearby, and we just grabbed a bar of soap and was like, oh, man, it smelled like exactly like the soap we'd use as kids, like in the bathtub. And I never, like, my mom never told us, like, this is olive soap or whatever. It was just the soap we had, but like, it was just an instant.
Did you say, I love this soap?
No.
Missed opportunity. And what about that song about the mystery of faith?
Which one was it?
We remember how you loved us.
And then we celebrate.
Is that sung anymore? I feel like...
well, not during the Mystery of Faith, but it can be sung in other places.
Okay.
In the Mass.
Yeah.
You could teach a class on music, like writing music, or...
Yeah, I guess...
You brought your guitar with you, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I picked up guitar towards the end of middle school, and I've been playing ever since.
Have you ever taught anyone the guitar?
I haven't, given, steady lessons for anyone.
How
show 'em.
about no,
Danielle,
what-
you play the guitar, right?
Nope, I do not.
Play a smaller stringed
I-
instrument?
Yeah, I can play the ukulele, and I have a mandolin, which I shamefully don't play very well, but it's okay. Tell me about this cathedral in Ontario.
So-
well, I spelled it wrong in my
Oh.
notes, so that's why I said it wrong.
So my wife Carmel is originally from Ontario, and we traveled with her family back to close to where she's from. I don't remember, exactly, but what sticks out at what I think was the cathedral was a very beautiful, enormous mosaic that's like all these shades of blue. I couldn't even tell you what it was. Probably Jesus, though. Probably.
Well, Canada shout out there,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
All right.
Canada shout out.
Well, thanks for doing rapid fire questions, Paul.
Thank you.
Paul, could you talk to us a little bit about your experience of faith, just what brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, so we've probably heard a few times from Danielle before. I won't go too much into the family dynamic, but, we were homeschooled growing up.
Yeah, let's get all the family dynamic
maybe
stuff
we
out
should
there.
throw out. So we have 5 kids in our family, and we have an older brother than me, and then Paul has a twin sister, and then after him is another younger brother. But we're all 5 within 5 years, so we're very, very close.
Just
in
under
age.
6 years.
Just under 6 years,
So
5 and a half.
So Paul is either 3 or 4 in the family, 3rd or 4th, right?
No,
Life begins at conception. We are the same age, but she was born first, for the record.
Yes.
Ooh, I have not heard the life begins at conception statement about twins, so I like it. So anyway, I distracted you.
We were born on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah,
Good time.
St. Patrick's Day twins.
Okay, so let's
Yeah,
hear about your
so
story.
growing up, we were homeschooled, Catholic. Our parents did a pretty good job of raising us in the faith, but the way I like to think of making your faith your own is really that, at some point you have to decide that the faith is yours, and not just because your parents take you to church or they want you to be there, but because you want to be there, right? So growing up, let's see, in 8th grade, I was in catechism class for confirmation, and we were all asked to...
Which was not homeschooled. That was with
that was the local...
like the public school kids at night, Monday nights.
Yeah, at St. Dennis. So we were all asked to do some sort of service project. So, some kids were like raking their elderly neighbors' leaves, or, those sorts of things. And I volunteered to start altar serving. So I started that in 8th grade, and I kept doing that until I was about 21. But it's a little embarrassing to say, but, the main reason that I liked altar serving so much was because it made Mass go by faster.
Yeah.
I didn't really have that full understanding or appreciation for the Mass. I didn't take my faith maybe super seriously. I loved Jesus, and I liked listening to like Christian music as well as the popular mainstream secular music of the time. I even had a band with my brother Josh and a couple other friends.
What was the band name?
We don't need to get into that.
Okay.
There's old YouTube videos floating around there that people don't need to see. Through all of those experiences and meeting a lot of cool people who were on fire for their faith, that wasn't just mom and dad, but like other people who were legit fun people to be around, who were also very serious about their faith, I think had an impact on me. I was also probably with a few of these like Christian rock bands that I was listening to that were, you could tell they were really serious about their faith, and they weren't selling out. They were really passionate about what they liked to play. So that conviction kind of had got me going. So I was reading the blog Bad Catholic.
Oh yeah.
Mark Barnes, who was a little younger than me. I want to say this was close to 10 years ago now. And he would write these. He was a really smart guy. Is a really smart guy, and he would use like memes and stuff just to kind of help you just make jokes and make things make sense, but still be contemporary in a way, I guess.
And still be communicating like the truth of the faith, right? Teaching you something in it.
Right, exactly. When I stopped being an altar server around 21, I moved to another local parish. So I was going there for a year or two. one time I came back to the previous parish where I had been altar serving. So I was walking across, the back main aisle, and one of the elderly gentlemen there who helped out with, ushering and a lot of other things around the parish, he was holding the crucifix that, the altar servers would usually bring in. It looked like there weren't any kids there to help with altar serving, so he was just going to do it. But he saw me walking by and he said, "Oh, you can be an altar server." And I'm just thinking, I didn't come here to be an altar server, but, I guess it's just business as usual around here. We're going to... So, I ran to the back and put my altar server robe on. And then I, came back and I was standing there just in the minute or two before Mass holding the crucifix. And I was just thinking about it a little bit more. I think it was maybe Bad Catholic or one of the blog or one of the other things that I was studying that mentioned like the honor and privilege of bearing witness to Christ. And here I was about to lead the procession of the Mass holding this crucifix. So that kind of spoke to me in a really powerful way, and I was, kind of overcome with emotion that I was able to, that I had, the honor and privilege of doing this.
And that was something you had done many, many times before, right?
Right.
So it's kind of the way, like, God works in an ordinary thing.
It was like an awakening.
To give you something much deeper.
Jesus was this guy, right, 2,000 years ago, and he claimed to be God, and then he was, tortured and killed in the most horrible way that they could come up with.
Right.
And then 2 days later, he rose from the dead. And that's what I believe, and that's what I'm professing right now by leading this procession, holding this crucifix. I could be sitting in the back, kind of like not participating that much, but like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm about.
Right.
Go ahead, Father.
No, I was going to, you got your guitar with you. We'd love to hear a song, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Shall I abandon, O King of Mysteries, my family, friends, and home? Turn my vision to a restless sea and dare to face the great unknown. Shall I rely on mercy unseen, without money, food, or sword? Bid farewell to my island of green, close my eyes, climb aboard. Shall I pour my heart out to your Son, as tears roll down my face? Will you guide me across the waves? Woo! Oh, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Paul. A question. What does it mean to you to be a joyful missionary disciple? Like, to you personally?
Right. So I'd say when I first started living that out in a substantial way, I guess, would be when I started the Bible study.
Oh, okay.
Bibles, Bros, and Beers. So that was about...
BBB?
BB&B, yeah.
BB&B, I'm sorry.
That was at the shrine. So...
What was the best B of the time together? Was it the
The
Bible,
Bros.
the Bros, or the beer? The Bros?
The Bros, yeah.
The relationships, right?
For
the
sure,
friendships.
Yeah, because we would meet twice a month, and we went solid for 5 years, so I got to know some of these guys really well, and 4 of them were my groomsmen in my wedding. Adam was a reader, Tom and Mark were ushers. It was great to have all these guys that I got to know really well and grow in our faith together, and then have these ongoing friendships with.
Something that I was praying about recently, well, kind of praying with, it kind of came to me, is this idea that hospitality can be inconvenient, right? So you were really dedicated because you ran that for how many years?
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have gotten burned out earlier, but we kept it really simple. Like, my main thing was just picking up weird snacks before, which was just like whatever.
Does that include beer?
Yeah, beer sometimes, but it was
Sometimes.
it was more on the other guys to pick up beer. I was mostly
all right.
trying to just pick up like chili lime chips or like whatever weird stuff I could find at Aldi.
Shout out to Aldi.
Shout out to Aldi. Are you a part of any like Bible study groups? Was that formative for you? Or
Yeah. When I was in college, I was part of, a good group of friends, and we were all, trying to be faithful. I had a couple of really good Catholic friends, and then a buddy of mine who was more of a fundamentalist Christian, and so he brought a very different perspective, but like someone who loved the Lord, was seeking to follow the Lord, and which also led to like disagreements and arguments about stuff, which can be kind of a nerdy Catholic thing or nerdy Christian thing to fight about some detail, but that stuff's important.
Yeah.
And it also kind of showed like it helped me get better at knowing my faith, and to hear people in my life who were not just an echo chamber, but who were thinking about things differently while we were trying to follow the Lord. So that was really important. And throughout my priesthood, I was a part of a priest fraternity of guys for, a number of years. And now I'm part of like my classmates and I get together, and sometimes we just talk about life. Sometimes it's about homily prep. Sometimes it's about, just whatever's going on, or a particular topic in the church or in the news, or in our lives. But Danielle, are you in like a quote unquote small group?
So I have several group chats that operate under different
names.
Yeah,
we've talked about
is one.
The group chats.
Yeah. But I guess I would say, like, one thing that I was thinking of as you were saying that, and just like the interfaith dialogue too, is yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, I got tagged in a post by these kids that I used to be in middle school with. So Paul and I were homeschooled, and we were part of a homeschool group. The homeschool group, we had maybe like 40, 50 families, and all of them were Christian, but we were one or two of the only Catholic families, depending on like what year it was. And so everyone in my class was a Christian, and I was the only Catholic. And I went through with like most of these kids, and yesterday one of them tagged me and a bunch of other ones because he's writing a sci-fi short film, and he was like, I want to know like different faiths perspective on like what a post-Christian era explorer to another planet might encounter. And it was like so fun. It was such a fun conversation because it was like all these people being like, this is what my interpretation is, but it was like all uplifting because it was so like imaginative. It wasn't like, well, first of all, you're wrong about Jesus. It was just kind of like, hey, this is what my faith like expression would look like. So yeah.
So Bible, beers, and bros.
Yeah.
So close, Father. Bibles, bros, and beers.
Bible, bros, and beers.
Hashtag. Yeah, so
is that trademarked, or
no,
is that
no,
public domain? People can use it for their own group.
There can be further chapters created elsewhere.
All right.
One of my favorite things to do too was a brosary.
Oh wow, what is that one?
That's a rosary you say with your bros. So
you get it, Danielle?
I did. That's why I laughed.
We would appropriate a lot of words.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know really, like. The idea just kind of came out of nowhere, the naming of it, but it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek to take the bro culture that was popular at the time. That's all about like, drinking beer and chasing girls and stuff, and like still kind of having that way of talking. But yeah, exactly. Sometimes we would meet before the Bible study, and we would kind of take a lap around the shrine, which was about, just the perfect distance for a rosary. Sometimes we would do brosary to brewery.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm learning so many things because I didn't know any of this stuff.
Only did that maybe
all the ways
twice.
You can incorporate the word bro into Catholic
into
things.
Devotional life.
A letter of St. Paul to the Bromans.
Well, there's a lot more here apparently. So okay.
Proverbs.
So Paul, now that you're married and you've been married a number of months, right? Like, what does it look like to be a joyful missionary disciple with your beautiful wife as you're kind of living this new life together?
I have an amazing wife, and I guess I don't know what to say.
How has your Like, how have you discerned maybe like new paths of like missionary life with Carmel as opposed to just you on your own? Because we were talking about Bros Bibles and beers, but you're not a part of that anymore because of your marriage now. So is there a way that you guys are ministering now together, or that you're discerning ministry together versus
as of yesterday, we've been married 6 months, so hasn't.
It's all new.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
We're still feeling it out, but we say prayers before we go to bed every night, which is the Our Father, Hail Mary, Saint Michael, those sorts of prayers, as well as special intentions, and obviously we're going to mass together every Sunday.
Do you pray a spousery together? It doesn't work like with rosary. All right, never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
We're just living our daily life together, obviously, and hopefully being a good witness to our friends, especially those who we know not from church or Catholic events, but from work or however else
Yeah.
So
we know people.
So let me ask you, Paul, about like the whole marriage prep process, and because you work in. You don't work in the church, right?
Automotive, yeah.
You work in automotive. I mean, going through that process as a faithful Catholic is itself a powerful witness to the people you work with, to the people your wife was working with, to the people you interact with. I mean, was there an opportunity throughout any of that marriage prep time to kind of to just kind of live your faith in a way that was a witness to others?
Maybe Carmel more than myself, because I feel like being a guy and then working with a bunch of other engineers, like there's not a whole lot of small talk at work, which is where we spend a lot of our time, right? But for her to be having these conversations with her coworkers, just the concept of like not living together before you're married is like,
she and I talked about that. Yeah,
is like a statement.
I remember because she moved in with our other friend Julia, who was a guest. Julia. And I remember her coworkers, she was like, I'm moving this weekend. And they were like, are you moving in with Paul? And Carmel was like, no. And then, but she was like, I guess that's kind of like everyone's expectation. Yeah. But
don't do it, guys.
Yeah.
Love is worth the wait.
Wow, that's such a cute little shout
Thing
out.
from the 90s.
I have another question for you.
Uh-huh.
Of the things that you're studying and reading right now, is there anyone who's really inspiring you, like a saint or a blessed, anything like that?
Yeah, so actually, just along the journey of becoming a joyful missionary disciple, right? So, as we mentioned previously, I've been involved with some playwriting, and that included like Espresso Yourself, right, which was the young adult play set at a coffee shop on an open mic night. So that kind of tackled and addressed various issues that young adults face today. And then more recently, we wrote Hopes and Fears, which was a Advent play that we put on last December, and what was really interesting about that is like the inspiration that I got to write it. One of the things was it just kind of a song popped into my head when I was in the shower one day from GT and the Halo Express.
Okay, this is an old
GT and the Halo Express.
This is a very old like audio cassette tape like thing that we would listen to when we were children, and it was like Bible verses to music, but also to like there was like a storyline.
Yeah, it was like these couple of kids who had this like angel friend who would show up and like take them back in time to like the Bible stories and
encounter Bible characters.
And we would listen to it. I think when we were setting up the Christmas tree every year, the Ticket to Christmas episode, where the kids got transported back in time to see Mary and Joseph and the shepherds and the angels and the wise men. And it was just really randomly popping into my head. Like I hadn't heard it in probably 10 or 15 years. And it's just like, man, that's pretty crazy that this song from my childhood can have that sort of emotional connection after all this time. And then also my buddy Tim Likes, around that same time.
Another bro.
Yeah, he came to see Espresso Yourself, which we did a few years ago. And kind of randomly, he was like, hey, when are you going to write another play? And I was engaged at that point, getting ready for, marriage and everything. And I was just like, that must have been a little bit before that song popped into my head. But I was like, I don't know, man, are you going to be in it? And he was like, yeah, if you write it, I'll be in it, right? So then Danielle and I I talked to her and see if she wanted to work with me on writing it. So we came up with an outline, and then we brought some more friends together, and we wrote basically a musical, right? And a bunch of young adult friends kind of got involved. So we had a prologue that kind of went through the Old Testament, the history of the Israelites, and
there was a lot. But now you're working on a new one too.
Yes, we are working on a Lenten play.
Yeah, Lenten reflections
about saints.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually just had a meeting last night. So it's kind of still top secret. Well, I guess we just gave most of it away.
I was going to say,
that's all you guys get.
That microphone in front of you probably means it's not top secret, but you're not giving all the details away. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
And going back to your question of which saints have been inspiring me lately, and as we've been doing this research, Saint, I guess I don't even know if I'll get his name right, but Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio, is it?
Oh.
Yeah, he was
I don't know him.
Oh, you
really?
do. If you hear the story, you'll know it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a young boy in Mexico in the early 20th century who joined the Cristeros movement as a flag bearer, and he was caught and imprisoned and basically tortured and killed for his love of the faith. And he never, when they asked him to deny his faith, he didn't, and he just was really brave and really awesome, and
a child martyr. At this point, we usually ask our guests if there's anything that they'd like a final word that they'd like to share with the listeners. Is there anything you'd like to tell the listeners, Paul?
Don't be afraid to get involved. I don't have the best singing voice or writing ability or leadership skills or anything, but I just, we're all put on this earth to do something, and we all have our, various talents, and we need to share them.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Be not afraid. JP2.
And once again, before we say goodbye, if you liked this episode, please share it with your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your Trader Joe cashier. You can also leave us a review on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our handle is @OpenDoorDetroit. Help us unleash the gospel. Open Door Policy was produced by Ron Pangborn and the creative team of the Archdiocese of Detroit.
And then we celebrate. I'm Father Steve Poulos with Danielle Center.
And this has been another episode of Open Door Policy.